welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in a very special presentation here on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Make sure you head out there for sales and service Monday through Saturday. Looking forward to a new or used to buy or lease. Go to Great Lakes Honda City, and of course, go to greatlakeshondacity.com ahead of time so you can check out everything. I am picture in picture with Mr. Kevin Jennings, the quarterback of the SMU Mustangs inside of the ACC in their second season in the ACC. If you were paying attention last year, this gentleman and his team did very well going to the ACC title game and came back and almost had that victory in the ACC title game, and then went on into the college football playoff for the first time ever. And Kevin, before I say hello to you, while you're on screen, I need to say this. I know I told you a little bit this off the air, but you see this gentleman that's right next to me, okay? Kevin Jennings, one of the most successful quarterbacks last season, I believe won 9 straight games. Heck of a football player, incredible football player, goes to work, does what he needs to do, fantastic team. And I know you're going to give credit to your running backs, offensive line, to your tight ends, wide receivers, and whatnot, as you should as well. But I just want to let people know, since I've been saying it without you on screen, I'll say it with you. This is one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football, and put some respect on his name. With that being said, Kevin, how are we?
I'm doing good, and that's love right there. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, of course, man. So, I mean, I know we're in this season, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you at the end of last season, but I was at the game at Penn State, so I just kind of wanted to get a feel for this for you. You know, being a part of history with your teammates and bringing SMU to the first ever college football playoff for the school, just what that meant for you and how you used that as something to build off of when you stepped into this season.
Yeah, it truly meant a lot just get that representation from for Dallas, just to go in the playoffs the first year of the 12-team playoffs, it was a success for us. We got there, reached that level, and it didn't go the way we wanted to go, but we learned a lot from that, honestly. We went into Penn State, which is a very good team. The things didn't go as we planned, but heading to this season, we just got a different experience just going into this season. Just looking forward to maintaining and keep going.
Yeah, and last year, a 9-game winning streak. When you come in for Preston Stone, bring me into when it's finally your turn, when you get the nod, because the team you're playing this weekend, Syracuse, had Steve Angeli, and then the nod goes to Ricky Collins Jr. after Steve goes out. You've been a part of this, being the backup, the next in command, and getting the job. How did you make sure that you were ready so you didn't have to get ready?
Yeah, I think it starts at practice, honestly, just the preparation we put in. The coaches helped me out a lot. They kept it slow with me. Like, they didn't put too much pressure on me going into it, but it was like, be ready to play and things like that. So, just the coaches having my back and all the players having my back as well. Just having that confidence around me that they have in me, and just all of that. So, the preparation was kind of, it went well, honestly. The first 3 games, me and Preston rotated, and then BYU game, took over like in the second half. Then after that, it was my time. So, just grateful for the opportunity.
Like I said, with the team you're facing in Syracuse, I've spoken with Ricky and Steve a lot, and they've talked about the relationship, the back and forth. What was the relationship like between you and Preston when you are wanting to be on the field, and then obviously they want to be on the field, but you're working together? Do you feel like you learned something from Preston? Was there a positive relationship? Do you look back even at things now this season and say, man, I remember when Preston and I were breaking down film and we were looking at this together, and I'm seeing it happen again?
Yeah, the bond that we had, me and Preston had, it was unmatched, honestly. We definitely had a great bond. We definitely made each other better at the moments we had to compete against each other and all of that. So I'm just grateful to have him alongside with me. We competed, fall camp, in the season, all of that. We made each other better. So, I'm very grateful to have him on side of me. I miss that guy right there. Check up on him here and there. And, I'm just, I wish the best for him. That's my dog right there. So, all love to him.
Making it to the college football playoff puts you on a national stage. I had people telling me all over the country last year that there were coaches recruiting their team during the postseason, during the college football playoff, that there's kind of this open season for the portal all the time. What made you want to stay at SMU after this past season and continue? It's a weird question because it's like you commit somewhere, you sign, so you should want to stay there. But in the world of the portal and constant free agency, we see people move all the time, especially quarterbacks get the limelight. And when quarterbacks make it to the college football playoff, there's a conversation a lot. Or if guys make it close to it, there's a conversation. So, what is it about SMU that just spoke to you then and speaks to you now? Because I respect the fact that you stuck around in a world where people keep moving.
Yes, sir. Yeah, at the end of the day, Coach Lashlee, he believed in me when nobody else believed in me. He was one of my first big offer. I was coming to Missouri State at first, and Coach Lashlee came and offered me. So he believed in me when nobody else believed in me. So I just want to show the loyalty back. He showed the loyalty in me by recruiting me to come here. While nobody else believed in me, so why not show the loyalty back? And it's no other place I want to be than Dallas. My family's from Dallas, I'm from Dallas, so it's just a dream come true for me to be up here at SMU, and there's nowhere else I want to be.
And you talked about being from the Dallas area and your family being from the Dallas area. What does it mean for you to rep Dallas with having a school like SMU that has embraced it so much that you see the Mustang inside of the D, you see Dallas written on the jersey, sometimes on the helmet. Just what it means to you to play for a school that literally is putting your hometown on their chest when you go out there and play a game.
Yeah, it definitely means a lot to me. First off, just having my family, being able to come at each and every home game, supporting me and all of that, all the fans. When I first got here, the atmosphere wasn't as good as it is right now. So I just give props to them, all the fans that we have, all the students that we have, to showing up to each and every game, selling out the crowds and all of that. It's a new Dallas, like they all say. So we just working on, getting back to the old SMU like we were before, back when Eric Dickerson and Craig James was here. So that's our goal right there, just to, bring Dallas back again and have those moments.
And like you said, when you first got there, the crowd wasn't like it is now. Did the college football playoff making it there and making history, do you feel like that had a direct effect on seeing more people in the stands so far this season?
Yeah, I think last year, our first ACC game, I think they popped out, they sold out the stadium. So I don't think it was necessarily us making college football playoffs. I think it was just, us moving to the ACC a little bit and having a little success, and they just, they showed up for us. We had to, put it up for them. They came and showed up for us. So I think that's definitely what it was, just the ACC play.
Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I'm here with Kevin Jennings, the quarterback for the SMU Mustangs inside of the ACC. Last season was SMU's first season in the SEC, and of course, or in the ACC, pardon me, and of course the first season for you inside of the ACC. So with you being a part of that, looking at the competition that you had playing the likes of FSU, Louisville, I know you talked about Stanford recruiting you, Duke, Pitt, BC, Virginia, Cal, Clemson in the ACC championship. What have been your takeaways as you get set for another season inside of the ACC? What did you take away from the level of competition last year?
Yeah, the level of competition is great. Coming from the AAC, the American Conference, week in and week out, it wasn't, just a hard-fought game each and every week. But, coming into the ACC, the teams are really good. So just the competition we got each and every week and not, letting your foot off the brake each and every week. So I think I just took that away from it. Each and every week is going to be a really good game. So just be ready for that.
Pressure happens to all of us at some point.
Right.
Having the success that you had stepping in at quarterback, do you feel the pressure? Do you not feel it? Are you good at keeping outside noise outside? How do you kind of deal with all of that, being in a position where head coach and quarterback are the ones that get blamed the most or praised the most? So how do you deal with the pressure?
Yeah, I don't really feel any pressure, honestly. I think God blessed me with the opportunity to, be in my situation I'm in right now. So, for all the haters that's, chiming in, talking mess and all of that, I just, take it as an opportunity to be in this situation. If I wasn't in this situation, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I wouldn't be getting the hate or I wouldn't be getting the praises and nothing like that. So it's, just give all props to God for putting me in this situation and be successful as I am right now.
You just mentioned the most important thing to me, and that was God. What can you say about your faith and leaning on God? And like you said, God put me in this situation. So just what you can say about why you believe and maybe to go a little bit deeper into your faith.
Yeah, I mean, just growing up in a Christian family, going to church each and every weekend and all of that. So, just having that strong faith, knowing that God is working for me and He's there for me, no matter what I go through the hardships and all of that. So, just being able to lead on God, pray to God each and every day, each and every moment I get a chance to, just a testimony that God is there for me, and no matter what I go through, He's going to be there for me, and all of that. Yeah.
Do you do that when you're on the field? I mean, is there something prior to the game, after the game, during anything, walking up to the huddle? Do you have kind of that consistent conversation with God, so to speak?
Yeah, it's definitely the pregame ritual. We run out of the tunnel. Before the game even starts, we run out the tunnel. I run to the end zone. I take a kneel and just take a moment to pray to God, at least like a minute, just praying to God and just giving Him props for all that He did for me in my life, and what He's going to allow me to do today on the field.
And for you, like you said, growing up in a Christian household, at some point, Kevin, you have to
Mhm.
make the decision for yourself, right? When you're a
Right.
kid, your parents or grandparents, whoever it may be. In my case, my parents and grandparents brought me to church,
Mhm.
and then you have to make the decision. When did you just kind of decide for yourself and say, yes, I've been raised in a household that talks about God, but it's important to me personally to have the responsibility of making sure I keep a relationship with God?
Yeah, I think it happened most in middle school. Just growing up, as a kid, church is like the last thing you want to go to on Sundays. And it's like, you just want to you want to play around. You're a young kid, trying to play around, sleep in and all that stuff. But, in middle school, I think I got to learn more about it, got more into like Bible studies, going over the Bible and all of that stuff. And I think that's when it really just kicked in to like, just my faith, hey, I'm gonna try this out and just go through it along with it. I think I did that and I just fell in love with it. God's always been there for me.
Do you have a passage that you lean on?
I mean, it's multiple. I mean, I have a couple, just on my face when I normally put the shirts on for game day, Um, I can one thing that just stick out to me. I mean, I know it's a basic one, but I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. I mean, that's the truth. God gave me the ability to do anything I want to do, so why not go do it? I just take that with me each and every game. That
Kevin Jennings here with us and spreading things a lot bigger than simply getting the ball out in the field to a bunch of different players. And I appreciate that and I respect that. But you are doing that as well. And you do have a bunch of talented guys that you get the ball out to. What can you say about the skill positions that you have, running back as well as wide receiver and tight end, just the arsenal that SMU has this season here in 2025-26?
right? Yeah, that's amazing. I'm just I'm blessed to have the opportunity to be able to play with those guys. We got a lot of receivers that can go out there and make plays. We got tight ends, running backs, and all of those guys. So they just make my job way easier. Honestly, just going out there, knowing that I'm confident in them, knowing that they're confident in me and my old line as well. It's a relief on me, honestly, just to go out there and play freely and knowing those guys have my back no matter what I do, and just be able to play with those guys is a blessing. So that's that.
In the last game against TCU, you completed at least one pass to 10 different players, and then three of those players had them for touchdowns. Just what, I mean, to go a little bit deeper into, like you said, you're blessed to have all these weapons and whatnot. To throw to 10 different players is really stating that there is a depth in the fact that you
Right.
can go anywhere. And TCU is not an easy team to go up against when
So.
you're looking for somebody to get the ball out to. So just what you can go, say about going a little
Mhm.
bit deeper into the depth of your team coming off a game where you had 10 different players catch a ball.
Yeah, it's just testimony to our coaches, honestly, for putting those guys in a situation to, go out there and make plays and putting us in a situation to make plays. So I think it's a good thing for them how they recruit. We bring in a lot of freshmen this year, we bring in a lot of new guys. I think we have 42 new guys come in, and the way they just gelled in the locker room so quick, and it just shows on the field how they're out there making plays. Like you said, 10 different receivers, kind of crazy right there. So just it's a testimony to our coaches having our back and putting us in the right situations to go out there.
On the defensive side of the ball, you get to practice up against these guys. I got to
Yeah.
speak with the defensive side over at the ACC kickoff just a couple months ago. I'm looking at some of the numbers here and looking at some of the guys that have stuck out. What's it like going up against your defensive unit in practice? And
Yeah.
who would you say has given you the most fits from your team in practice?
Yeah, it's definitely a hard challenge, honestly. Going against those guys, we see them every day at practice and they know exactly what we're running. So it's like kind of crazy to go against them. But those guys, they're ball players. Both of our safeties, I think they really do a really good job at disguising stuff. Isaiah Nakobe, Moses, both of those guys, they're dogs. So just going against them each and every day just make me a better player, honestly. And that D line as well, D line, linebackers, everybody on the field, corners, all of that. They just give me a hard time. When it comes to the trash talking and all of that stuff, just they bring energy at practice and make it fun at practice.
I know I got a chance to talk to Isaiah at the ACC kickoff. Who's the biggest trash talker going up against you on the defense?
Man, it's a couple. First I'm gonna start with Jeffrey Ember. He got the little accent, and it's kind of hard to understand him. But like he's each and every day at practice, he's talking mess to me. I'm like, bro, okay, I don't know what you're saying, but all right, let's go after it. It's Jeffrey Ember, and then we got Isaiah Smith, Cam Robinson. It's mostly the D line, honestly. They're not gonna stop running them now, so it's going against them. Being able to line up against them. They're just making me better and giving me better looks to, look at in practice.
When they're saying stuff to you, and you're there on the line, are you saying something back to them before you get?
I gotta talk back.
What'd you say?
I got to. I can't just let them talk mess to me. Yeah, it's definitely a little trash talking going back and forth. Sometimes they get the best out of me, and I get the best out of them. But it's definitely a good time just going out there at practice. Making plays, dancing around, all that stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely talking trash. But
I do have to. I got to ask you this. So when they are talking trash and you're going back and forth with them before you hike the ball, because I just got a feeling that this happens at some point. So is it before you hike it, or is it after the play that when, like, if you either, like, before it happens, you just have confidence in yourself and they're saying something to you, Cam says something, and you just go, all right, bet. And then you hike the ball? Or is it after the play where you go, all right, yeah, I see you. Okay. Like, you let them know, like, I got you. Is it before or after?
I'm not gonna lie, it's both, honestly. But I'll be talking this before the snap. Giving little W signals, pointing at them, and all that stuff. But like, it's both between the plays and after the play. Honestly, after the play, throw a bomb on the DB, I'm running towards the DB, pointing at him and stuff like that. So just having the fun till I practice, bringing energy. I think that's the best thing to do at practice. Getting the team juiced up and all that.
Oh, I love that. I could appreciate that. I'm happy you're having fun in practice. It's a big thing about having a good family. Kevin Jennings here inside of this conversation on Wake Up Call. A few more pieces before we hop out of here. SMU's taking on Syracuse at home in Dallas, Texas. What have you seen from Syracuse's defense on film? They've defeated Clemson at Death Valley. Obviously, they had a tough loss against Duke. They've done some good things. They're still on the winning side of it. They're 3-2. Coming in 1-1 in the ACC, and this is going to be your first ACC game of 2025-26. So what are you seeing from the Orange going into the game?
Yeah, to start off with, they're a really physical team. They play with the edge, play physical and fast and all of that. So just they're gonna play hard, coming in here. But also just, they're a very talented group, athletic group and all of that. So we gotta be prepared for the challenge they bring to us, we just prepare for whatever, honestly. We know they're a really good team, really good defense and all of that. So I'm just, ready to get loaded and play.
Yeah, and there's two true freshman corners that are out there, Chris Peal and Demetres Samuel Jr. What have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, they're really young, like you said, freshmen, I believe Samuel's, he's 17 years old, but he's a baller, I guess the age don't matter. He's a baller. He made plays out there and all of that stuff. So, just looking forward for the matchups against my receivers and yeah.
So we're going to get into rapid fire in just a second here where you and I get to put each other on the hot seat. But before we go there, I got to ask you about your head coach. I've spent a lot of years with him. I feel like I've known him longer than I have, but we've definitely talked the whole time he's been at SMU, and that's Rhett Lashlee. So I got to ask you, if you're in the elevator, right, and you get in at the ground level and you're going up to the 20th floor, so you got 20 floors to go up, you got a few minutes, and they say, who is Rhett Lashlee? What do you say on that elevator ride?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just started with, how loving he is. Honestly, he cares about each and every one of us, each and every one of his players. A lot of coaches say that, but he's really about that, honestly. He gets the time to talk to each one of his players, all of that stuff. And just the energy he brings, his personality and all of that stuff, you'll see it on display, being out there on the football field at practice, all the jokes he's cracking and all of that stuff, team meetings, he's just a funny guy, honestly. So, I'm just glad to be a part of this team with him. Just the love he showed for us is, second to none.
All right. And right before rapid fire, last thing here about the team itself. you were on a team that was so strong last year, and obviously you returned some guys from last season, you included. When you look back on last season and you look to the talent of this season, what are you seeing in these first 4 games? Are you seeing a team that has elevated from those guys that returned? Are you seeing an uptick? Because, people look at the win-loss record and say 2-2. You had an overtime game against Baylor and obviously just had the game against TCU, 2 games in the state of Texas. And then you got 2 wins on the other side of it. But the win-loss record doesn't always show everything. So from being on a strong team last year, what do you see this year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the win and losses, we're 2-2 right now, but I don't think that's totally all, honestly. If you go watch the games, you can see that, we're a really talented team. I think it's all going to kick in, coming soon, honestly. I think we've been practicing really hard through the ball week and all of that stuff, so you're going to see a really good team heading to, ACC play. I think, it was testimony to those 2 teams that we played. Baylor was a good team, TC was a good team, so I think it's just, us playing against a really good group as well, but we're a really talented team. We're ready to showcase what we got in ACC play.
I love it. Starting off the ACC play. Well, let's play some rapid fire here, Kevin. You get to ask me the first question. You can ask me any question, any topic, and then I will go back to you, and we'll go back and forth for a couple.
I'll start off simple. Let's see. Favorite college quarterback of all time?
It's got to be the guy that I got his autograph because he said something to me. It's right off camera here. So he said something to me when he was first coming out, and he said to my mom and I, he said, "I know I'm not anything right now, but just watch. I might be somebody someday." Ended up being the 2nd overall pick and went on to bring his team to numerous NFC championship opportunities and went to the Super Bowl. Donovan McNabb.
Oh, now Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, so I got to give him some love there for sure.
Yeah, good dog for sure.
My question back to you, if you took over my show for the day and it was Wake Up Call with Kevin Jennings, what 3 quarterbacks would you have on the show to interview?
Yeah, I definitely have to go with my 3 favorites, honestly. I'll go with Aaron Rodgers, Marcus Mariota, and Lamar Jackson. That's my top 3 right there. I'll look out there, so I have those 3 guys on right there.
All right. Mariota, Rodgers, and Lamar Jackson. What's your next one for me?
All right, let's see. Kind of unprepared right now.
That's all right. You got to be in the – listen, you never as a player get to ask the question, so enjoy this because it's not going to happen after the game. You know that.
I know. Let's see. You said you're from up there in New York, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's see. Favorite college football game you ever watched? Like the favorite, most historical game you ever watched? And why?
Most historic game I ever watched and why? I would say, I think recently Syracuse beating Clemson that they've never done in Death Valley was big. Yeah. But I would also say if it's Syracuse, one of my favorite moments was Camping World Bowl when Eric Dungy went from being on a team with 4 wins, getting disrespected, hearing everything in the world, getting injured, and then the last game of his career led them to a 10-3 season, won the game. And I actually have the moment where him and I were talking and he cried. I have that framed behind me.
Sorry.
And then I would say my favorite beyond that, I would say going to the college football playoff national championship as one of 300 media in the whole world. And covering Notre Dame and Ohio State. And then Riley Leonard and I are friends, so getting to see Riley and give him a hug was pretty cool.
That had to be dope, yeah. Sure.
So my question back to you, Kevin. I got my own sundae and I have my own breakfast sandwich. If Kevin Jennings was to make his own meal, what would he have and where would he put it? So pick the restaurant and give me the dish.
Let's see. That's tough right there.
I'm trying to help you out with your NIL right now.
Restaurants, a lot of great ones out there. I think I'll probably have to go with Shug's right now. The Shug's Bagel, it's right by SMU on campus. It's a go-to spot for each and every SMU student. So I had to go with Shug's Bagels. And what would it be?
Yeah.
It got to be a bagel. I'm trying to see what I'll put on there. It'd probably be definitely a breakfast bagel, like egg, bacon, hash brown. I got to throw something else, like something some crazy stuff on it. Probably some strawberry cream cheese or something like that on it.
Okay.
That's something crazy. Make it memorable, something like that. I don't know.
All right, I like that. Got the breakfast sandwich plus got the cream cheese. What's your final question for me, Kevin?
Final question.
Yes, sir.
If you could talk to any former athlete, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably Ernie Davis from Syracuse. I spoke with Floyd Little and Jim Brown, and so Ernie passed away of leukemia at 23. So probably Ernie, because I think my grandmother got to watch him play. So I would say that, and then I'd have to go, man. So I like the Cowboys. I do.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, feet to the fire right now, the first one that came to mind is I want to sit with Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, I can feel that in my chest. That's going to happen someday. So
That'd be a dope one.
My last question to you, all right, Kevin Jennings. So, Kevin, if this is going to be a three-parter, I've never asked this question before.
All right, let's do it.
So, Kevin Jennings is a comedian. What comedian do you do a battle with? So, this is going to be the three-part battle question. What professional comedian do you have a comedic battle with? What professional rapper do you have a rap battle with? And what person on your team do you have a cook-off with?
All right, so the first one, comedian, I have to go Kevin Hart.
Okay.
Because, I grew up watching Kevin Hart, all that, same name. And, he's just a funny guy. He probably fry me, but let's go with Kevin Hart for the first one. And a rapper that I have a rap off with, I had to go with Rod Wave. I'm a big Rod Wave fan.
Okay.
That's my guy right there. That's my, favorite artist. So got to go with Rod Wave.
Okay.
Then third, cook off with a teammate. It'll have to be Kyron Chambers. He's cooking each and every weekend. And, he always sends me to the group chat, him cooking and all of that. So, I have to get down with him, show him off a little bit.
All right. Can you cook?
A little bit. I mean, my dad is he's a really good cooker, a chef. So I like to say I can cook a little bit, learn a little bit from him.
All right. Well, so if feet to the fire, what's the thing that you would make for the team? If you're in this cook-off, what would you make?
There'll definitely be some ribs, some pork ribs. I definitely have to, what about that? Some pork ribs. That'd be the best thing I can cook. So probably that.
Well, if Chris is within an earshot right now, we just heard Kevin Jennings say he's going to make ribs, and I get to come down and have some ribs. So.
And I got you. We'll cook up a little bit.
Well, Kevin, it's been a pleasure. Listen, like I said, I've been looking at what you've done over this, last year and change, and had a lot of respect for you. So it's good to finally get to talk with you and get to tell you face to face. And so hopefully I get to see you soon. But, shout out, got a lot of respect for SMU and for the city of Dallas, and obviously the work that you've been doing. So congratulations on what you've done so far. I know you just got started this season, but I want to say God bless to you, and it's good to finally talk with you.
Sure, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.